I got an idea. Why don't we talk about what's stressing out my dialysis folks? Come on, y'all know what I'm talking about. It's that Phos, that P, H.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am. What's going on, everybody? Kidney Warrior Brick here, and today we're going to talk about phosphorus. In case that wasn't obvious in my fantastic cover intro. So let me ask you, has your phosphorus been too high lately and you're trying to figure out just how to bring it down? Did you know that there's an equation that shows you just how to do that? Or maybe you're wondering what's the downside of high phosphorus? The itch doesn't bother you anyway, so can't you eat just the way you like? Well, today we're going to cover both of these topics, as well as some other interesting things. Let's get into it. Some of you may recall something called a periodic table that you studied in school or college. Well, surprise, surprise, it's making a comeback because these are what minerals are. And for this video, we're talking about chemical element number 15, phosphorus. Phosphorus is actually really important to sustaining life. It's what we call an essential or major mineral. There are actually 7 different major minerals your body needs. Phosphorus is often confused with another mineral, potassium, among kidney patients. But these aren't necessarily the same thing. While there is some overlap, when we're generally talking about kidney patients, we're talking about restricting or limiting phosphorus or potassium. So what's high in phosphorus is not always going to be high in potassium. So generally foods that are high in phosphorus are going to be your protein sources, while foods that are high in potassium are going to be fruits and vegetables. Speaking of foods, I recently made a poll on one of the social media groups that I follow to try and gauge what people think about when they're thinking about high phosphorus foods. Let's check that out. All right, so basically I just asked the question that I was wondering what people think of when they're like, dang, I can't have that, too much phosphorus. So I was kind of trying to get them to think, what are the things that are high in phosphorus? Let's see some of the things that they came up with. Okay, Coke, yeah, brown drinks, ice cream, obviously. Red sauces, see, that's going to be potassium. It also talks about carbs. Tomatoes, again, there you go. Yeah, that person told them. Bananas, again, potassium. Peanut butter, nuts, bacon, here we go. Potatoes and tomatoes, that's potassium. Cheese and nuts, potatoes, ice cream, salmon. Okay, there are some protein choices here. Lots of protein choices. Ice cream. Dairy is very high in phosphorus. I still eat whatever I want. No, there's a moderation guy. So we could see that people really enjoy having things that are high in phosphorus. But is that a bad thing? Do you really have to restrict phosphorus? Or can you have things in moderation, as some would suggest? Let's find out. It may surprise you to know that there are 2 forms of phosphorus in food, which is known as phosphate. The first is inorganic phosphate. This type of phosphorus is easily absorbed when you eat it, which looks like this as a chemical structure. The second type is organic phosphate, which looks like this as a chemical structure. Those R's that you see on the end are branches or bonds the phosphorus is sharing with other elements in the food. And since it's being shared, it is not easily absorbed when you eat, such as the first type, because you need a certain key or enzyme to release that phosphorus. So you can just think of those R's locking the phosphorus into the food so it's harder to get into your body. Most of the phosphorus, aka phosphate, you eat isn't really being absorbed until it reaches a point of your intestine known as the jejunum, which is after the stomach, pictured here. There have been many studies done to actually determine how much phosphorus is actually being absorbed by your body as well. And these studies produce results that show that 80 to 100% of inorganic phosphate can actually be absorbed by your body. While this is in every food, phosphorus additives are strictly this form, the inorganic phosphate that is easily absorbable. while phosphates from meats are only absorbed 60 to 80%, and phosphates from vegetable sources are absorbed less at such a rate as 70 to even 45%, as low as 45%. But the vegetables and grains on the lower end of that scale, the 45%, the 50 to 45%, are actually from a component in the food known as phytic acid, or phytates. And this actually keeps the phosphorus bound or locked into that organic form because humans don't have the special key or enzyme to unlock that phosphorus so you can absorb it. Once the phosphate is free in that inorganic form, it takes about an hour from the jejunum to the blood. It takes about an hour for it to be absorbed into the blood and be able to show up on labs. That means the labs that you take once a month are actually testing for this inorganic form of phosphorus in your blood. Speaking of labs, let's check this out. Normal phosphorus is 2.5 to 4.5 milligrams per deciliter. A condition known as hyperphosphatemia is when the value is greater than 4.7 milligrams. But in most healthy people, and even in up to GFR of 40 or 35, this inorganic phosphate is easily excreted by your body. Once your GFR is below that point, it starts to build up in your blood, making it that much harder to maintain balance in good labs, with some people needing binders even as soon as stage 4. Though the majority of patients in stage 5 and end-stage renal disease or dialysis will be on phosphorus binders. The reasons for the increase in phosphorus are many, but the three main ones are the decrease in urination leading to less phosphorus being excreted by your body, vitamin D status, so the increase in vitamin D also helps more phosphorus build up in your blood, as well as some medications can increase phosphorus or help you absorb more phosphorus. Let's rewind for a second and talk about how in healthy individuals and those in end-stage renal disease help keep phosphorus in balance. There are actually three main important things that keep phosphorus in balance, and that's food, meaning vitamins and minerals, hormones, and in the later stages of kidney disease, binders. Here's an important fact to remember. Calcium and phosphorus have an inverse relationship. And what that means is when one is high, the other one is low. And when the other one's high, the other one's low. That is an inverse relationship that they share. Which leads me back to the first factor, minerals. Certain minerals can actually limit phosphorus from being absorbed into your blood. In fact, many binders are actually made from these minerals, including aluminum, iron, magnesium, and as you know, calcium, like Tums. Vitamins, such as niacin, a B vitamin, has also been shown to decrease phosphorus absorption, while vitamin D, something often supplemented to patients on dialysis, actually help absorb more phosphorus. That's not why it's prescribed, but it is a side effect. The second aspect of phosphate balance is hormones. Calcitriol, parathyroid hormone, also known as PTH on your lab work, calcitonin, and phosphotonin are the key hormones that are at play. Now, I figured I'd save you all the interesting pathological and biological happenings on how these actually control your phosphate and give you the cliff notes, so to speak. Calcitriol increases absorption by providing a key enzyme to unlock that bound organic phosphate in food and release it for you to be absorbed, while PTH decreases phosphate by releasing calcium. Remember, phosphorus and calcium show that inverse relationship. So an increase in calcium means a decrease in phosphate or phosphorus, while phosphotonin decreases phosphorus by allowing you to excrete more. So this means fecal matter. Calcitonin decreases phosphorus by allowing your bones to absorb more phosphorus that is in your blood. But hey, if y'all would like a video on all these biological and pathophysiological happenings on how phosphorus is actually controlled in your blood, I'd be happy to give you a detailed explanation. But let me know in the comments section. I know y'all see it, so hit me up down there.
Why do y'all sleep on me? I need reasons.
Our last factor is one that relates to those mostly on stage 4 and 5, although someone post-transplant may need this as well. And that is phosphate binders. And since we're on the subject of low kidney function, let's revisit the safety range of phosphorus in hyperphosphatemia. People who are most at risk are those with GFR lower than 20, but also people who are less active or have hyperparathyroidism, so your PTH values are too high, or those who are getting too much vitamin D can also be at risk for hyperphosphatemia. The danger in hyperphosphatemia is that it can lead to a condition called ectopic calcification. A similar condition is known as calciphylaxis. Patients on dialysis are at the greatest risk of developing chronic hyperphosphatemia. This is when your phosphorus is greater than 5.5 for a prolonged period of time, such as 3 weeks to a month or longer, leading to atherosclerosis. And this is a buildup of plaque, but also the hardening of arteries, which also plays a major part in transplantation, because if those arteries are brittle, you won't be able to get a transplant in a specific area. And if too much of your arteries are brittle, you may not be able to get a transplant at all. Pseudo-gout is also another thing to be cautious of, but this condition usually happens when your calcium phosphate product is greater than 57. All these reasons are why it's very important for dialysis patients or patients not yet on dialysis to control phosphorus, which the starting recommendation is between 800 and 1,000 milligrams a day, which changes depending on your labs. You may need a little bit more or less. Again, you have to stay in that healthy safety range. Now, there's a lot of challenges that come with dialysis, but for me, one of the most challenging things was always trying to control my phosphorus. It was by far one of the hardest challenges I've ever tried to overcome. Phosphorus is in everything and it's really hard to get a hold of. But then again, I didn't have a lot of the information that I just shared with you all today. All right, so now that we got through all the bad stuff and all the stressful news, how can you help yourself by making better food choices and implement some of the information you've heard today? Unfortunately, phosphorus is found in everything. It's just how nature works. But also, remember, phosphorus is good for us. Helps our muscles work, for instance. But we can at least point out the things that are highest in phosphorus, and we can limit how much we're having with those. If you recall, one thing to limit is processed foods and the phosphorus additives, as they are absorbed 80 to 100%. Did you know that while a manufacturer has to list phosphorus and phosphorus additives as an ingredient, it doesn't actually have to list how much phosphorus is in a product? And I'll point this out again, all those additives are being absorbed by 80 to 100%, and you don't even know how much phosphorus that is. It could be 10 milligrams, it could be 100 milligrams, it could be 500 milligrams, and you're absorbing most of that. So steer clear of phosphorus additives as well as you can. Also recall that vegetable sources are the lowest amount of phosphorus absorption, and that's due to the phytic acid. But there's a key thing you need to remember in this. If something that is high in vegetables, say like a multigrain bread, but also contains yeast, that yeast has an enzyme, the key that's needed to unlock that phosphorus, and more of that phosphorus is able to be absorbed, which is why a lot of dietitians recommend not to have that whole grain bread, because it's going to have higher phosphorus compared to the white bread. So those lower numbers of the grains actually going to jump up to about 60 or 75% because yeast has that enzyme. All right, that's going to be it for today. But to sign off, I'm just going to go ahead and show y'all some foods that are high in phosphorus and how much phosphorus you would actually find in them and how much can be absorbed. Till next time, warriors. What's going on, everybody? Editing Brick here. Look, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I did plan on putting some foods up here, just various foods, but that turned out to be very time consuming. So instead, what I'm going to do is go to this website, a very recommended website by other people, not by myself, and kidney community groups, and that is the DaVita website, where they have recipes. And we're going to check out 2 of those recipes, and I will give the phosphorus content breakdown of each item and those recipes. But if y'all want an actual video breakdown of how much phosphorus is in various foods and how much can be absorbed, let me know. Y'all know I'm always begging for comments. But anyway, let's get to it. We're going to check out 2 recipes. The first recipe that they have here is the air fryer shrimp recipe. Now, right off the bat, what I want to say is they have 1 pound cooked medium shrimp. It's very vague, okay? So instead, what I'm just going to say is 1 pound cooked shrimp, gram per gram, okay? So also, they don't classify, are you using fresh shrimp or are you using frozen shrimp? And there's going to be 2 differences, and I'm going to actually put that in the edit. But the difference is from fresh shrimp, 4 ounces of fresh shrimp is going to be 268 milligrams, while 4 ounces of frozen shrimp cooked, both of these are cooked, 4 ounces of frozen shrimp is 347 milligrams. So gram per gram, both of them, the higher phosphorus content is going to be from frozen. So they don't actually classify which one you should use, but we're going to go ahead and skip on down to the next item, which is 1 large garlic clove. Again, I'm sure many of you don't use garlic cloves, so what the heck is 1 large garlic clove? I actually had to go look this up. And 1 clove is equal to 1 teaspoon of minced garlic. All right. But if you look back at this recipe, I'm not sure why they would need minced garlic, because this actually isn't a full recipe. All it is shrimp. They want you to air fry shrimp. And so, in my opinion, what you should do is actually use powdered garlic powder, instead of minced garlic. So I want to go ahead and check out the conversion rate of, minced garlic to how much powdered garlic you should use. And right here, as you can see, for garlic cloves to powder, use 1/8 of a teaspoon of garlic powder for each garlic clove. So 1 teaspoon of garlic clove equals 1/8 teaspoon for garlic powder. Keep that in mind. So I have 1 clove of garlic is equal to 1 teaspoon of garlic, okay? 1 teaspoon of garlic is equal to 4.6 milligrams, all right? 1 teaspoon of garlic powder is equal to 12.8 milligrams. But again, you only use 1/8 if you're going to use a 1-to-1 ratio. And that means roughly 1.5 milligrams of phosphorus for powdered garlic. All right, the next item we have here is 2 tablespoons of oil. Now, oil isn't going to contain any phosphorus. So our next item we have here is 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder. Now, 1 teaspoon of onion powder is about 7.8 milligrams. Cut that into 4, and you're going to come out with about 2 milligrams. And the next item that we have here is black pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. And black pepper, 1 teaspoon of black pepper is about 3.7 milligrams. So if we cut that in half, again, that's about 2 milligrams. The next item on the list is Cajun seasoning. Now, here's the thing with Cajun seasoning. Every brand that you get of Cajun seasoning is going to be different. So there's no real way to actually calculate how much phosphorus is in that. But all the spices that are in Cajun seasoning have some amount of phosphorus. So take that at your own risk. We're going to just leave that as blank for now. There's going to be some amount of phosphorus, but I don't know how much phosphorus to calculate for that. The next item is going to be non-stick cooking spray. So as long as there's no phosphorus additives in the cooking spray, it's going to be 0 or negligible. So all that combined together, you're looking at a total phosphorus recipe of between 1,081 milligrams to 1,394 milligrams. Again, it depended on you using fresh shrimp that was cooked or frozen shrimp that was cooked. The frozen shrimp will be higher in phosphorus. Now, this says there should be 4 portions in this recipe. So if we split that value I just gave you into 4, the lower end will be 270 milligrams of phosphorus, which they have here, phosphorus 272 milligrams. But the higher end, if you're using frozen, and I know many people will, not many people are going to be using fresh shrimp, right? So frozen shrimp, you're looking at about 348 milligrams of phosphorus. And that is just to have some shrimp, not green beans like they have pictured here or whatever else that you're going to supplement to have an actual meal. Shrimp by itself is not a meal. All right, so let's go on to the second one, burgers. So burgers here, they have a weird burger. I'm not sure why they have this burger. All right, so let's check it out. Sour cream and onion turkey burgers. All right, first item, quarter of a medium onion. What the heck is a medium onion, right? You can go to the store and you can see all the onions and they're all different sizes. So we're gonna have to find out what the heck a medium onion is before we can even get a quarter of that. And I'm putting something on the screen, and it's gonna say that a medium onion is about twice as big as a small one, which they also show what a small one is. It weighs in at about roughly 8 ounces. So we're gonna say that a medium onion is 8 ounces, all right? So a quarter of 8 ounces is 2 ounces, 2, 4, 6, 8, right? So a quarter of 8 ounces is 2 ounces. And I have here, let me look at my page because I did all the math. One onion, 8 ounces, divided by 4 is 17 milligrams. So a quarter of an onion is going to be 17 milligrams of phosphorus. All right, the next item is 2 tablespoons of chives. That would be green onions if you're unfamiliar with chives. All right, so 2 tablespoons of chives is really low in phosphorus. It's about 3 milligrams, not bad. And then the next item is 1 pound ground turkey. Here's where I'm confused. Ground turkey has more phosphorus, more of basically every mineral in it compared to 80% chuck of ground beef, right? If you go to the store and you get 80% beef, that is a better alternative in almost every mineral compared to ground turkey. Now, we'll have more fat, but if you don't have an issue keeping that in check, then you're going to have a better option coming out with ground beef than ground turkey. It has more protein, it has more minerals. I mean, ground beef has more protein and has less minerals, while ground turkey, even though it has less fat, has less protein, only a slight bit, not a whole bunch, but a slight bit less protein, but more minerals, including phosphorus. So that's just a bad choice. But anyway, 1 pound of ground turkey has 778 milligrams of phosphorus. All right. Then the next item on the list is 1 large egg. Okay, so 1 large egg is going to have 92 milligrams of phosphorus. But if you only use the egg white, you're looking at only about less than 10 milligrams of phosphorus. The next item is going to be the Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire sauce is going to be 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce is going to be about 10 milligrams of phosphorus. Again, the next item on the list is that 1 teaspoon of minced garlic, which is 4.6 milligrams if you're using the actual garlic. And they're having a burger here, so, you know, you can use the powder, which I just gave, or you can use the minced garlic. The next is the pepper, again, 2 milligrams of phosphorus. And then they have sour cream, 4 tablespoons of sour cream. Okay, I wouldn't put sour cream in my burger, but maybe some people like that. So this equals to about 70 milligrams of phosphorus. And then the next thing is 4 cracked wheat burger buns. Again, white bread is going to be the healthier choice to go to on wheat than compared to wheat. So instead, what I'll give is the phosphorus content of white buns. And 1 white bun is going to be 68.7 milligrams of phosphorus. Give or take, they all have different amounts. So let's say 68 milligrams of phosphorus times 4, because there's a recipe for 4, right? So the total phosphorus content in this whole recipe for this turkey burger, this sour cream and onion turkey burger, is going to be between 1,135 milligrams and 1,000 222 milligrams. Divide that by 4, since it's a recipe for 4, and you're going to come out with a serving size of 284 milligrams of phosphorus to 305 milligrams for phosphorus. Now on here, they show 324 milligrams. So it's off compared to the numbers that I got, but they might have got that from the wheat bun. I'm not sure, as I didn't check. Now, this is what I want to say. I'm going to give you a recipe for a better burger, okay? Now, I'm from the South, and we like seasonings. And so I can tell you right here, 1 teaspoon minced garlic. And if you calculate that into powdered garlic, it's 1/8 of a teaspoon. Yeah, people would be like, this is not flavorful. This is not flavorful at all. So I also don't put egg or sour cream in my burger for whatever reason. So I'm just going to give you a recipe for a plain burger, all right? So 1 pound of ground beef, 80% ground beef, 691 milligrams. I also like to have my greens. So leaf, I like to put baby spinach. Baby spinach, you're going to look at about 6 pieces of baby spinach is going to have about 1.5 milligrams of phosphorus. But it also has added benefits of iron. So there you go. Romaine lettuce, if you prefer romaine lettuce, 1 romaine leaf is going to be 5 milligrams of phosphorus. I also like mayonnaise. So 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise is going to be 6 milligrams of phosphorus. And ketchup, I need mayonnaise and ketchup. Ketchup is going to be 1 tablespoon, and that's going to be 5 milligrams of phosphorus. Worcestershire sauce, we could put that back in there. 1 tablespoon, 10 milligrams. Garlic powder, I bumped that garlic powder up to 1 tablespoon. We need some flavor here. 1 tablespoon, and that's going to be 38.4 milligrams, roughly 40 milligrams of phosphorus. And 1 tablespoon of onion powder, which is 22 milligrams of phosphorus. Now, the way that you make a burger is really easy. You just mix all this stuff together. You make it flat, you put it in the pan, and you cook it. It has fat. The fat will help cook. It will release, and then you'll have some oil in there, some natural oil or lard in there cooking the burger. You don't need to add any extra oils. Okay, I also added a bun, the same type of bun, white bun. So the same phosphorus content, which is going to be about 68 milligrams times 4. So the total phosphorus count in my burger comes out to be, for a total recipe, 1,040 milligrams. Divide that by 4, same portions, 4 recipes, 4 servings in a recipe, and it's going to be 260 milligrams of phosphorus total, right? That gives you your regular burger. It's not a cheeseburger, but it's a regular burger with mayonnaise and ketchup and a bun and leaf. Right? So there you go. A regular hamburger that one would, find anywhere else. And it's 260 milligrams compared to the lower end that I was able to calculate of that sour cream and onion turkey burger for 284 milligrams. So choose wisely. Again, I'm going to put all this in edit. I'm editing things now and I'm trying to release it. So see you later.